Wow, ey, das ist aber...
A huge crowd today.
Mindestens 5 Fragen. Okay, fangen wir an.
So let's start. Bayern Munich is in preparations for the final home game of the season, but you're already in your question mode. 5 journalists, so let's start. It's been 3 days. The final experience. You probably have drawn your conclusions. What's in your mind now? Well, a bit of everything, really. We didn't want it to be over in 8 days, but we are now coming off really a tunnel. In the past days, we focused everything on those 2 games against Real Madrid, and yesterday I thought the whole day it was Monday, but it was Friday, really. That's how I was. But obviously that is sport, and I still think that we left everything on the pitch in those 2 games, and we were really fighting hard, and it was a very tough way to not win it at the end. We still have 2 more games in the Bundesliga. A couple of players were coming out of that game with a knock. We took our time yesterday. We had practice, but everything was a little bit in a situation where we didn't really know what day it is and everything, and I just accept it now at this time because it's gonna sort itself out. It's part of the job, unfortunately, even though we don't want it to be. We did everything we can in order to be on the other side and reach our goal. We have 2 games now, and we don't want to open up a contextual debate now. We want to get our laughters back and our good mood back. It is sports, and now it's our task to be respectful losers in that case and prepare for the game tomorrow as good as possible.
Mr.
Tuchel, if you rate the whole season, it's only 2 more games left. Well, I'm not a friend of open discussions about this because it's too complex to really answer that with one question. There are too many factors coming into it. In order to rate a season, obviously you can be sure that I'm not happy with the results. I signed at Bayern Munich in order to win titles, which we haven't managed this season, and that's what you are rated against, and that's just the case. But still, when we talk about the season, there are many factors that played their role. We gave everything we had, and the fans that were at Madrid, they really felt that as well, and that's what it comes down to give them the feeling as a team and with the coaching staff that every single fan at the stadium realizes, well, they really reached their limit. And that's what we did in the Champions League till the final minute. We didn't really manage to do that in the Bundesliga, which is part of my responsibility. And we have to accept that. There are many shades of gray in between, but they're not for the public. Mr. Tuchel, a colleague just said it's a final home game as a Bayern Munich coach. What are your feelings looking ahead to that farewell in front of your own fans? How emotional is it going to be? Well, I don't really know, because as this Real Madrid game is still very close, I was emotionally captivated by that game, and to cope with that and to influence everyone positively now here, because we really given all we got, and so I can't put a check behind it, and we just want to give the people a good feeling now, and really go through that final stretch with our heads held high. And so I didn't really think about that too much. I just let it come towards me, and I will see how that is actually influencing me at all. I know it is tomorrow. I received many questions for tickets from my family and friends, but I'm not thinking about that too much and just concentrate on the sports and what I can influence. One more question about it. Do you expect something from the club, like flowers or a present or something like that? No, not at all, because a premature exit without titles is not worth giving away flowers.
Herr Tuchel, wer ist also wenn man jetzt mal auf die Spieler kommt, Sie haben die angesprochen.
If we're looking at the players now, you were talking about the players with a knock. Now, Jamal Musiala, he said that the knee problems were even more severe than we said. We know about Leroy Sané. Are you taking that more serious? Could they get fit in time for the European Championship? And to you personally, you said you were in the tunnel. Now you're exiting this tunnel and contemplating what you do next. Are you now heading for a sabbatical with Jürgen Klopp, or what's next for you? I have no clue. We are going to think about this with all due time. It was planned differently, but the situation is clear since February, and I'm going to take the time. There haven't been any talks with other clubs because the task here was too complex, and it's my understanding when I do something, I do it 100%, and with my full focus and be not distracted. This is going to change come next week, obviously, but there are no tendencies and no decisions in no direction. And the other thing, there is obviously a topic, the 4 offensive players that started against Real Madrid, they won't be able to play tomorrow, probably. Harry has his back issues. He had to leave the game, unfortunately, and it was handicapped throughout the game, even though during the warm-up, no, he had a blockage at the warm-up, and Serge is out. This is going to be really close for the European Championships, if I understood that correctly. And with Leroy, I don't think that Leroy will be on the pitch for the final 2 games. He's receiving treatment and pain treatment as well. We'll do everything we can. I don't know the plans from Julian now, what he will accept and how much freedom he will give Leroy for treatment and the pain and everything. And Jamal, yes, he said the same to us like he did to you, that it is hampering him since that Arsenal game on the outside of his knee, which is really painful. So Jamal will not be part of tomorrow's squad and probably not for the last game as well. So next round. A bit of a footballing philosophical question. You came to Bayern Munich to renew Bayern Munich a little bit, and now we've seen from a possession-based team, and we've seen Arsenal and Real a bit more defensive, but still possession-based. You are the coach. Obviously, I'm only the one who is asking the question. If you see the best team of the world, Manchester City, they win the Champions League once in 5 years, even though they are the best. Paris as well, a very good possession team, but they still don't win it. Does that mean that total football, that possession-based football is over? The first part of your question, I don't know whether I really came here to renew Bayern Munich. Obviously, some impulse, that's why you're a coach, but we have not really brought that on the pitch, this identity that we stand for. And that's what we accept. It's a very interesting question. I haven't really thought about that possession theme or defined that through that possession theme. It is a case that teams like Arsenal, City, Paris, or we in the league, or Leverkusen, who are still undefeated, they define themselves through quality in possession, and it's really difficult to give the ball away voluntarily. Even Liverpool has high possession rates, even though Klopp does not define himself through possession, but with the counter-pressing. After possession, you can either track back after you lost possession, or you can press. I think it's too complex to really say the possession-based football is over and counter wins those titles. It's the highest art in the end to be able to do everything, and Real Madrid has has owned the competition in the past in their own way. They have everything on the table. They have possession-based stints. They sometimes just accept the opponent to have possession. It's a very interesting question, and I probably have to think about it longer, but you cannot only reduce that Champions League success to possession figures. Leverkusen has really high possession figures, and they dominated the league extremely. And I don't think they're going to change their style only because they play it at the highest level in Europe. You want to develop your style and get it through on the highest level, and the opponents are going to be tougher and better and better. And so you have to suffer through other phases. It was easier for us when we defended a bit deeper, because it's more the character of the players to defend a bit deeper than to really be on the counter press aggressively. That's my estimation. And it took us a while to find the best solution, which can happen sometimes. I'm the most impatient in the whole system, and it's the toughest for me to accept that things take their time sometimes. But it is how it is. I'm going to think about it, and I'm going to see whether there's something on your question. So, what will the future hold for Bayern Munich? Will they need a renewer coach or someone more conservative approach? That's a very philosophical question. A bit of thin ice that I'm treading on, but I don't know whether Bayern Munich really have to define themselves through style. As far as I can remember from when I was young, it was not about the style of Bayern Munich, but the result. I knew throughout my childhood and my youth, no matter how the game goes, Bayern Munich will win at the end. I was a Gladbach fan back then, and it was a really tough in those heated games when Gladbach played well, but they still lost, and that's also means something. And so that's what I said at the start. Probably Bayern Munich means they really play a manly football, and they get through obstacles, and almost the same as Real Madrid now. Over the years, Manchester United was a club as well that defined themselves through late goals, but not really about a style that was put on them. And Louis van Gaal did it a bit, and Pep brought his own tone into it, but it was more about the coaches and not really about the club. I think the club stands for winning and for the mir san mir approach, and you can probably fill that with life in different ways.
Viel zu schreiben, ja?
Sie haben gesagt, wir wollen uns nicht hängen lassen. Jetzt hat auch Stuttgart
You said we
gestern
don't want to
gewonnen. Weiter. Trotzdem, wie gehen Sie
lose
mit der Mannschaft um? Das wird doch jetzt
our
nicht
focus. How are you gonna approach the team now? Are you gonna do some normal video sessions? Well, that's a good question. We haven't made it yesterday. Are you gonna tell them, well, play your football like Beckenbauer did? Well, not really, but it's gonna be shortened, obviously. But I don't want to give them the impression, well, it doesn't matter. Just like, well, play football because the coach doesn't care, because that's what we don't want. As always, we're going to feel into the team, how they are doing, and then some of the players will get playing time that we're really longing for it, and so something beautiful can maybe happen. We don't have a normal job. We are professional sports people that cannot let themselves down and just say, well, I don't care. It could be a human reflex, really, but it just isn't. When you're on the top of your game in a competition and you want to succeed in a competition, you can never just let go. Because tomorrow at Allianz Arena, it wouldn't just feel right. And so it's not worth thinking about even. And it's my task and my job to not let the team get out of that responsibility and give them any sign of letting go. It's not going to be like that legendary Franz Beckenbauer quote in the end, because that would be the wrong signal, but we're going to find the right mixture of preparing them, but not really overdo them with information or overload them. Well, it's a bit longer than we thought. I asked at Stuttgart how endangered that second place is. He said, no worries, we're going to end up in second place. I've seen that different now in your current situation, or is that danger really high of not finishing second? No, it's in our own hands, and we feel ourselves in a situation where we can win this game tomorrow. We're not going to just let it go, and we're going to look at everyone and remind everyone, if there's anyone to be reminded of it. For example, Thomas Müller, he's going to be hot as he always is when he dons that jersey. He's not going to run even a meter less than usual. That's just going to happen. And so we're not going to think about not finishing second. We're going to win the game tomorrow, and then we have another game. And we want to win both games because we have it in our hands, and that's why I stay with that. And then there is the Super Cup. And, and it's our own thoughts that we have, and our expectations, and just because the surroundings are a bit different, you cannot really just say, well, I give a little less than I can. When you're a professional at Bayern Munich, that's just impossible. So the final question. So I have to really find a good question. A question about your future. Everybody thinks that you might go back to England. You had the two biggest clubs in Germany, Bayern and Dortmund. Are you ever going to coach a smaller club like Gladbach or Bremen, for example? Or is that not an issue at all? And did you feel misunderstood in Germany? Because I have the feeling that you are being accepted differently in England. It was really thin ice, and nothing that I want to discuss in the public. The decision hasn't been made yet what I'm going to do. I have to decide for myself and with my coaching staff as well. I really have to thank so much for the quality and loyalty, and we really have a good understanding as a coaching staff, so it's not a completely egoistic, selfish decision that I can make, but it's going to be made in the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to need some time, and when there's a time for an announcement, you're going to learn about it. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend. See you tomorrow.
Beinahe hätte ich gesagt, als erstes.